All right, welcome to WeatherGod's Wisdom, where we're going to be talking about the tropics today. And we've got two systems out here. We've got Tropical Storm Karen in the middle of the subtropical Atlantic, and we've got Hurricane Lorenzo. As always, these thoughts are mine and mine alone and do not reflect the official statements made by the local National Weather Service and National Hurricane Center. So, that being said, let's get into this. So, we're going to talk about Hurricane Lorenzo for a little bit, because this has really undergone just a magnificent intensification period today. And the only reason I'm saying that it is magnificent is because it's out in the middle of nowhere and has really just bombed out today. And you can see that the core is continuing to fire very intense convection around the now warm eye, and the eye has been gradually warming all day and has kind of gone in and out of being, really warm. This satellite presentation favors a pretty strong Category 4 hurricane. This is not a Category 5, I don't think. And most satellite measurements agree that this is not a Category 5 hurricane, but it is very close and is pretty strong. This is, per the latest advisory from the National Hurricane Center, this has winds of 140 miles an hour and is moving northwest at 12, and it should continue on this track as it heads towards the Azores, which are starting to show up in the eyes of the 5-day forecast. And a lot of forecast models are depicting a pretty strong hurricane headed towards the Azores, and you can even see here the trough that is starting to influence the system and move it to the north. And you can see this giant outflow that is coming out of the system. This is a giant system. This is really just unbelievable. Look at how large this is. This is just takes up so much atmosphere in here. And the fact that it was able to get this strong this far east is really remarkable. And we've really never seen anything like this. And it's good that it is far east and is moving north and away from land for the most part. Sorry, Azores, but this is just, a spectacle to watch. So, anyway, we're going to talk about Karen now. Karen today has, been firing these really powerful bouts of convection in association with her mid-level circulation today. And you can see that her lower level circulation is a little more elongated. If you look at the lower level clouds in here, you can see that it's kind of stretched out. And so, if you look at the recon data, that kind of further reinforces this. You've got a long kind of stretched out system here, and you've got some strong winds in here, but nothing is really no strong winds are being associated with the thunderstorm activity that's being developing. And so this is kind of its own separate entity, and it's kind of telling that the system is not entirely coupled, because you have the mid-level circulation, which is associated with these thunderstorms that are now collapsing, and you've got the lower level circulation off to the north that has been firing kind of these just convergent showers that aren't really going to be that strong and, help the system stack. And so this is just not really a powerful system, and the National Hurricane Center agrees that this thing is probably not going to be doing much, and they don't even have it on the 5-day forecast anymore because it's going to probably be a remnant low. So that's that, essentially, for Karen. And yeah, but one last look at Lorenzo, man. Look at that beautiful hurricane, dude. That's a beast. And we better be glad that it is not near us, man. But anyway, that's kind of all, actually. That was a really short video. Not much to talk about. I mean, this is the vorticity map. There was an interesting feature earlier today with an upper level low. If you look at the 500 millibar vorticity right here next to Karen, you can actually see that Karen has a relatively weak mid-level vorticity, so it's harder for these thunderstorms to sustain, and it's part of why it is kind of falling apart here and is not going to last much longer. And but anyway, this upper level low was starting to try to mix down. Some convection was starting to fire, and you can kind of see a loose area of vorticity. It's not really much, and I don't think it's going to do anything. And I think the National Hurricane Center also notes that it is probably not going to do anything. So that was a little interesting feature. Let me get to the right water vapor loop. There it is. It's not really doing much. But we're going to be watching the Central America region in the coming week because of a possibility of a Central American gyre event that occurs, where you have a system that develops due to enhanced winds on both sides of this area, this region, that ultimately lead to and is triggered by a tropical wave that comes in here. And ensembles from the GFS have been really confident in this, and considering the amount of time that we have before this happens, it's pretty impressive that they're already kind of hinting that, not really hinting, they're more like demanding that this is happening. And we will have to be watching the Western Caribbean sometime next week or late next week. And that's all for now. Really just got Lorenzo out here. Karen doesn't count. But yeah, you guys have a good evening, and as always, thanks for watching. And thank you, Levi Cowan, for all the satellite data, and we love you, dude. Go watch his podcast on WeatherGeeks.com. That was really awesome. He was like giving advice to a bunch of young meteorologists, and he was really cool about it and everything, and kind of the guy that I aspire to be. I love that guy. Anyway, have a good evening.